Welcome to the Midday stream live at NADA. I'm your host, Kyle Mountsier, sitting here in the great Nashville, Tennessee. So excited to bring you to the middle of the day. We've had a packed morning. I mean, press announcements. We've had interviews. We had an incredible live stream this morning. You can catch on all of our social media channels, including YouTube. If you missed it with David Long, Dale Pollock, Jonathan Smoke, Jason Rice, Glenn Lundy popped in. A bunch of industry troublemakers we're talking this morning, so make sure and check that out. Right now, we're going to throw it to Paul in just a couple seconds just to talk about what he's seen this morning, the conversations that he's had on the floor with the energy at NADA in Vegas. We've also got an interview with our sponsor for the day, and we want to shout it out to them that all of today's content is brought to you by Effectv, the advertising sales division of Comcast. Effectv uses insights from aggregated first-party data to reach auto intenders across multi-screen video advertising. We're going to get to talk to them a little bit about that and just what their beliefs are along utilizing that type of advertising channel so that you as a dealer actually can have some things to take back and own, whether or not you use Comcast, and be able to implement in your dealership. So excited about that conversation. But before we get to that, I want to throw it out to Paul and see what's going on the NADA showroom floor.
All right, the first opening morning of the show set a really high bar for me. All things cars, in person live with Dale Pollock and Jonathan Smoke and David Long. It was just next level. We've been walking the show. I mean, we can't go 10 feet without getting stopped and hearing about something great that's happening, hugging some, figuring out there's a new thing going on. We just did a press release with CarNow and Scion Digital. CarNow is going to be the first integrated platform where people can actually leverage their cryptocurrency holdings to buy or make payments on a car or put a down payment on a car. There's been a lot of conversation in the news lately about how many millennials actually have and own and invested in cryptocurrency in the last 12 months. The number that President Biden said was actually 48% or 46% of those between 18 and 35 own cryptocurrency, and then now they can actually leverage that through Scion Digital, integrated with CarNow, to not even withdraw it and have to pay money on the gains, but to be able to just borrow against it to put a down payment on the car. It's still a CarNow experience. It still moves through into the vehicle buying process. So we're seeing the roads come closer and closer together with the crypto and blockchain world and automotive, and partners like CarNow who are bringing it all together. It's really exciting. We didn't know what was going to happen until it just happened. So I know there's a lot more of that to come here anyway. Again, the energy is great. We're going to talk right now with Effectv, the team that absolutely has been a supporter of Automotive State of the Union. They're troublemakers. They're figuring out how to mess it all up so that they can actually make it much better than it's ever been for dealers. We're going to go back to Kyle. He's got some of their people on the line so we can talk about the crazy things that they're doing. They couldn't be here at the show, but guess what? They're here at the show because they're on this show. We want to thank them so much for their partnership, not just at this NADA, but our relationship really started over the pandemic when we started to do live streams. And that very first one, we're saying we need to bring more people into the industry because we didn't know what to do. We need to share information. We need to arm dealers, not just what one product can do, but we need to help them understand everything that's going on in the industry. So Effectv, that really is at the center of who they are as people, who they are as an industry. And it's going to be exciting to hear what Kyle and they talk about so they can be a part of this NADA even though they couldn't be here in person. Kyle, I'm going to flip it back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, really excited to have this conversation. Looks like there's just tons of energy behind him back there and lots of people buzzing around. It's exciting to see people doing that again, right? We've got masks off and people are hugging energy around there. They're sharing and going across the energy, meeting old friends, meeting new friends, all of that. But with that, I want to go ahead and introduce and bring on to our stream, Anthony. Anthony is with Effectv, and really excited to have you here today because I think that probably the misnomer in a lot of automotive right now is that traditional is dead, right? Linear TV doesn't matter. Everything is digital. Like, don't worry about any of your TV providers because it doesn't work, right? There's been so much of that over the last 6 to 7 years. And to be just brutally honest with you, Anthony, before we get into it, I've probably been one of those people outside of the fact that I've started to learn and with my relationship with Effectv, even when I was at the dealership, just how much data is available, not just to dealers, but from dealers to head into. So Anthony, welcome to the show today.
Happy to be here. This is fantastic. Thank you and for giving us this opportunity. And you're right, we're trying to convert people all over the place, right? Because there's been so much of this sort of push to the bottom with digital, and I need to be at that person when they're ready to buy. And it's interesting as we've had to pivot much like the auto industry, and it's made us better in the long run, and we're all going to benefit from that. The challenges that digital created for us made us better, and it made a better product for dealers to use. So we're excited about that. And it's pushed us to utilize our data so that we could tell better stories throughout the entire funnel and give dealers opportunities to talk to their customers whenever and wherever they need to.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, one of the things that I think is really interesting about the way that we converse around the shopping journey is this funnel journey, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of trying to classify customers as either bottom of funnel or top of funnel. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting to me and what I'm starting to recognize is that it's much less of a funnel and much more of what some good friends of mine call a flywheel, or it's actually a bucket where people are really they're swimming in. It's more like a pool that they're swimming mm-hmm. in. And that being around them, no matter where they start or finish, is important, because what I'm noticing, and maybe you're noticing this as well, is that customers aren't just following a single journey in a funnel, right? It's not so much they start in wide shopping behavior and awareness and end in transaction. They mm-hmm. flow in between that. And so talk about how you're touching all of those elements and how dealers can maybe understand that different media platforms actually touch them in that journey or bring them to different parts of that journey depending on what they need when they need it.
Yeah, it's been one of the silver linings of COVID and chip and all these things is the dealers that kind of stayed on and said, we want to keep advertising, we want to keep our brand out there, started to use this full funnel mentality of, I'm going to go talk about what I do in the community. I'm going to go push used. I'm going to push service. The whole last 2 weeks of the month, price and payment kind of got pushed out the window, and it caused them to be a little more creative, and they started to kind of disrupt in their own way and do things differently. And they're seeing some of the benefits of that because they stayed on the air, they did things, and they brought people under the tent. They went and said, I'm going to get somebody that may not buy a new car from me, but I need their service. I want to buy their car back, right. Things like that. So they started to bring in new customers just by doing that. And now what they've done is they've exposed their brand to somebody in a different way. And now that experience that you guys talk a lot about in the dealership, when they provide that great experience, now that person has them top of mind. So right. It's been an interesting dynamic to really pull people in and talk to them throughout the flywheel, the bucket, and just get them inside the dealership, and then you can do the rest from there.
You said something there about like that last 2 weeks of the month discount. And I know that historically a lot of dealers, especially because so much of advertising is price and payment. What I've seen in the market is that dealers will kind of not get that price payment commercial or ad set out to their provider till a week or two in. And so ads essentially would be bumpered into the last 2 weeks and then stop running for 2 weeks and then start. Have you seen a trend away from that with more of a brand awareness type advertising strategy as opposed to a transactional advertising strategy?
Yeah, a little bit more, but I think there's more room for it. That's one of those legacy things that everybody had always known, right? I wait for my incentives and my deals, and then I build my advertising, and I go put it on the air. But the reality is people are shopping all the time, right? So why not have that story and that message out there whenever you need it to? So there's a little bit more of it, but I think that's a transition we can move. That's a legacy behavior we can leave behind because people are market every second of the day when they're in market. So why not tell your story on March 1st as opposed to March 28th?
Right. Exactly. I completely agree. And I think that dealers that can that understand that a constant flow of information, that there's never a time where not communicating to people is good, right? Being in communication, having that seamless flow of when you need me, when you need to be aware of me is extremely important. Now, when we think about talking about just having conversations, I think that it's important to think, hey, there's a person on the other side of that conversation. And one thing that you have kind of been talking to me about, and then leading up to this, we kind of chatted about through emails, was in the industry right now, there's a lot of conversation around data, and especially customer data, with cookies going away and a cookieless future, and the ability to access cross app tracking is starting to pull away. And so what because there's kind of two arenas that we can talk about data here. This is the provider data and then the dealer data. Mm-hmm. What is Comcast and Effectv doing to accurately assess that data, create audiences against it, and then implement that data with content, creative, and platform?
Yeah, I mean, and it's twofold. We have a lot of our Comcast viewership data, which is really rich, and we understand what people are watching because every intender out there watches television in some way, shape, or form. So we're harnessing that, and we're looking at the trends. We're kind of breaking down some myths too in the process about how much is really on streaming. But we're collecting that audience and we're delivering it back to our dealers so that they can go talk to that whatever kind of audience they need to, right? So if they want to talk to that new customer, if they want to talk to a used customer, they can. But we understand what they're watching and how to go target them when they're watching it. And we can do it in a really privacy compliant way. The second piece is really the urge to get dealers to be smart about how they manage their own data, because we're going to get to a point where we can take in their data, we can match it against ours again in a really privacy compliant way, and now we can go deliver campaigns to audiences that matter to the dealer, down to use, down to service, down to coming off lease, and deliver those campaigns in a really strategic way. So in that way, we're moving further down the funnel, but still with this bigger branding message. So it's imperative dealers kind of get that going, because we have all this data coming, and it's not even coming, it's already here. And we just want to match it together, because these are the things that are going to allow us to let dealers be more efficient with their advertising and eliminate more of that waste that they feel that maybe traditional media has created for them.
So when you talk about the dealer needing to get data right in order for you to be able to utilize it, what should dealers be thinking about within their data sets right now that are important for providers like yourself to make sure and have reconciled and up to date and clean in order for you to be able to do what your platform does best?
Yeah, you just said it. It's clean. It's being smart. It's talking to your BDC. It's making sure your DMS is very accurate, because what we're seeing when we can get that data in and scrub it against ours, the more accurate it is, the better we can go back. So I think it's just it's really just staying on top of it. And there's probably a lot of great vendors out there that allow them to do that. But I think it's one of these things that has to be as important as some of the other things you do in your dealership, because it's going to be more valuable to you, not just with us, but with a whole ton of other vendors as you move forward. So I think it's right now, it's placing an emphasis on it in your dealership and talking to your other vendors, talking to your partners about how to keep it clean. That's not our expertise, but we know when it is clean, we can deliver back a much better audience back to you that you can utilize to drive more people to your website and more foot traffic in your dealership.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I've been talking to dealers a lot about this, about that issue. And that, you know, the DMSs it's also not their expertise, right? So a lot of people are like, wherever that data lives, it needs to get cleaned there, right? But there has to be another layer there. And I think what you're saying is that the best possible implementation is when you can match your first party data, the insights about where people are, what they're doing, how they're shopping, because you know, when people think about any of the traditional providers that have their legacy product is potentially, you know, that traditional advertising, that all of you and all of your competitors in the market, or those in other markets than what you serve, are all moving and trying to understand data across multiple platforms. So talk maybe a little bit about how you're taking data from TV set boxes to OTT to audiences on you, any of those places, video on demand type places, and kind of crossing that over so that you can serve impressions and ad copy and creative based on user intent or platform or anything like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've gotten to this place now where OTT and streaming and VOD and all these things have come out, and there's a lot of different ways to go buy these things individually. And what we're trying to do is pull it all back together for this reason, because in reality, at the end of the day, no matter whatever it is, CTV, OTT, it's a person in front of a screen watching content. I mean, boil it down, that's really what it is. So our job is to deliver that audience back to the dealer, no matter when, where, how they're watching. So by having that data correct, we can now figure out, okay, we need to talk to a certain type of consumer who is still watches linear television with the majority of their time, and maybe they're a little older, maybe they're more in market for luxury. So let's go talk to that audience. Now we have consumers who might be a little younger, they stream more, and this fragmentation has happened across the board. But because of the scale we have, we still pull it all back together, and then we go tell stories based on that. So we're going to take dealers' data, match it against our data again in a privacy compliant way, and then go build campaigns to touch each of those audiences based on what they need. So it's not just understanding if you're a dealer, demographics of your audience, but what do they like to do? What do they like to watch? All of those things. And then we'll match that together and bring that back. And then we're looking for partners too, to help bring more to that too, right? Like, how do we make it more robust? We're not trying to live in a world of just us and the dealer. What other vendors are out there that we can talk to who can say, hey, I can bring something to your audience, Effectv, or to the dealer's audience? And then how do we merge all that together to go out and talk about it? And I think that's what we're excited about. This isn't just an us and the dealer transaction. It's
now we're going to go another 30 minutes. Just watch out. Okay. Because that's what gets me all excited and I think this is buddy of mine that was actually on our podcast this morning, Ben Hadley and I, we're just talking about that we think the hero in 2022, maybe 2023, is actually going to be the word collaboration. It's going to be how many partners and dealers can tie together to execute a strategy, right? To where there's more people in the room, more people talking, creating seamless APIs, creating, you have that data set, you have this idea, you have this content and creative, and whoever can orchestrate that well as a content creative and as a way of going to market is going to be the winner. So that when providers like yourself are saying, hey, you know, there might be dealers and there might be industry partners that are out there looking at this and watching this, we're here for both of you. We want both to come to the table, right?
Absolutely. Because we do something really well, right? We know what people watch. We have that, but that's just one aspect of what they do. There's other great auto vendors out there that bring a lot of other data that we're never going to have. So why not tap into that? Why not work together and create a better experience for the dealer? And I think that's one of the ways we're trying to pull this all together, because really the goal is we want to be able to deliver that audience to you so that you can target it, talk to it, speak to it, have it transact with you. And then we want to prove out that we had an impact on that audience and take it all the way through attribution. And I don't know if we're ever going to have a perfect attribution model, but we are going to have a place where we could say, hey, we influenced that, but we influenced it more because we tied in other vendors who brought other data to the table to help us do that.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I can't wait to see who you do. And I'm already my wheels are turning. Like, who can I connect? Who can I say, "Yep, over here, point that way." Right? I almost wish I was at NADA. I'd be like, "Hey, have you heard about Effect?" That kind of thing. So, very cool, very cool. I want to kind of get into one more topic that's near and dear to my heart that a lot of people just don't think about, but you guys are trying to bring some insights. I know right now to is. How the actual creative message, the way that the creative is shot, the type of messaging, how that is impacting conversion to website, view through rates and things like that. Are you seeing one type of one element or type of content and creative that's winning more in the market, or is it based on market specific, or is it based on content specific? Like if a dealer only had a limited time or a limited budget to spare, where are you seeing the most effective content coming out within the platform?
I think this may sound like too broad an answer, but it's the truth. It's authenticity. So it's get a great partner to build great creative with you. We have creative partners like Mnemonic that work with us who help us do that. But be authentic. Tell the story of your dealership. Be real with people, right? They want a sort of natural experience. What type of experience they want to have in the dealership is the experience they want to have when they see you in a video environment. So be authentic. Tell your story. Let people know what you do as you evolve into digital retailing and giving people easier ways to access your dealership and buy vehicles. Let them know about that and create that dynamic. I think we know the historical car commercials and cable commercials from back in the day of people doing crazy things to get attention, and those can still be effective. But I think what works today is authenticity and telling your story in a clear, concise manner. So work with your partners that do your creative and figure out the best way to do that. And I think authenticity is what breeds the best success.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think authenticity creates a customer with a high lifetime value, because if they connect to you and not your transaction, you have the opportunity to win them for life. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being on today. Thanks for talking with us about Effectv, but not just that, but what dealers can really be doing and where you believe that they should be spending some time and attention, making sure that they've got everything ready for them. Can't wait to see what the team at Effectv does throughout this year as you seek to collaborate, not just with dealers, but with industry partners across that. And thanks for helping us out with today and making everything possible today.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. I hope Paul has a blast in Vegas. We'll be thinking about him back here, but we really appreciate the time and love what you guys are doing and can't wait to collaborate some more.
Awesome. Well, thanks. All right. With that, we're going to send it away for our midday live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a part of the automotive industry. We're headed to the afternoon of interviews. Let's go.